Hello, my name's Steve Jasper, aka the Jet Lag Guy, and welcome to my podcast, Whatever Happened to Baby Jet Lag?
Whatever happened with baby jet lag?
Whatever happened?
We'll find out. And I am the co-host, Arthur Chen, the chatty curator.
This week in Jet Lag, Whatever Happened to Baby Jet Lag? Arthur's not able to join me this week. We had a bit of a scheduling clash. He'll be back next week, so no problems there. And first thing I wanted to say is jet lag in the news. The big news is some research coming out of Northwestern University, Professor Claire Peak. It's about insulin resistance, glucose intolerance, and disrupted circadian rhythm. So it seems that a disrupted circadian rhythm does tend to lead to glucose intolerance, which of course is a key step towards diabetes. So this is really bad news, and it's particularly important for those either with diabetes or with pre-diabetes. So that's really quite serious news. And there's two classes of people that are going to be affected. First of all, those with social jet lag. So often people who are real night owls forced to work, get up, do mornings, or people working shift work, especially night shift. So that's a real problem for those working with shift workers, and you've got a disrupted circadian rhythm, your body clock's disturbed. The second class is the people I tend to talk to most, the business travelers who deal with jet lag, and that increased glucose intolerance is a real problem. And of course, the first thing, when you're feeling a bit lackluster and you've got either social jet lag or jet lag itself, is to reach for an energy drink that's full of caffeine and sugar. No, that is not the solution. So please don't do that. But I really wanted to stress the importance that this is ongoing research. This was done in mice, so that's a really important caveat. It's not yet done in humans. We don't yet have complete human data, but I wanted to put this on your horizon. Please, please, please control your jet lag or your social jet lag. Maintain your circadian clock and look after yourself for your health and well-being. That's really important. So jet lag isn't a matter of inconvenience or being a bit drowsy during the day and awake at night. It's also, it can have real serious health consequences. So that's jet lag in the news today. And now we're here for the plug, and I've got a couple of things I want to plug for you. Actually, I've got three things to plug this week. Quite a lot of plugging, so let's get cracking. The first of all, the children's storybook and the colouring in book are now available online, and I've got the links down in the description below. So if you are flying long distance across multiple time zones, we're putting together a survival kit. So it'll be the original book for adults, plus a reading book that you can read with the children, and the colouring in book to keep them occupied. So that's the only thing I haven't got yet is a set of coloured pencils or crayons. So we'll look to do that. But that's our long distance flight survival pack. And it's a story called Ben Flies to London. I think it's a lovely little story. Basically, a little boy called Ben lives in Sydney, and his grandparents live in London, and he flies to London and he visits them. So that's a story. And of course, Ben gets jet lag. And it explains in language that children can understand what jet lag is and how to manage it. So I don't get complicated. I don't talk about the suprachiasmatic nucleus or anything like that. But it's just a nice little story that put together, and it's now available on Amazon. Link below, and the companion colouring in book. So that's the first thing I wanted to plug. The second thing is the other podcast series. I'm doing an interview series, and this week I have Professor Leon Lack, and you probably recognize his work with the retimer glasses. So this is his invention. He invented. So he had an interesting background. He has an interesting background. He was an electrical engineer, and then he studied biological psychology. So, and that gave him the perfect way to actually synthesize it. So we talk about how he developed the retimer glasses. And going up a wrong way. There was a mistake, for example, in the development of the glasses. They had the wrong color, not realizing that the colors, the frequency is actually that important at that time. Now we know that we do, which is why we've got this sort of cyan colored lights here. So that's why, but that frequency has been shown to be the correct one. So that's with Professor Leon Lack, and great chat. So it goes for about 40 minutes. So that's coming out this coming Friday. And it's been a real privilege to interview thought leaders in this space. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm talking with Professor Leon Lack. That's coming up this Friday. And that's Australian time. So if you're in the UK, the US, it'll come out Thursday. Okay, as you might be able to tell, I'm doing this during the daytime and the sun is moving across the sky and I'm trying to minimize the sun hitting me, but not succeeding 100%. Sorry about that. And I just want to talk a little bit about behind the scenes. So as you all know by now, I've put out this book, End Jet Lag, which took a lot of work writing, and it took an almost equal amount formatting. Now that's something that they don't tell you when you're publishing. The focus is on writing the book and getting it all and editing and proofreading and all that sort of thing. And they don't tell you about the formatting. And part of it is I use Canva. That's for the children's book and the colouring in book. I used Canva, not for this book. But Canva uses millimeters, which is fair. I'm in Australia. That's what we use. We're metric. And Amazon insists on using inches, which is very old school. We haven't used inches in 50 years. So I have to convert back and forth between inches and millimeters. So a lot of calculator, and I get it wrong. I'll admit, my maths is not great when it comes to that sort of thing. So I find, I'm making all sorts of stupid mistakes, and then I have to resubmit. And it's there's so many margins. I did a first print run of one just to see how this looked, and it was terrible. And I had a friend say, absolutely don't. And I changed the margins and I changed the font, and my friend said that's much better. And one of those things that you want is people who will say when something doesn't work and say, hey, that doesn't work. And it's good to have that. No, I got honest feedback that no, hate those margins, hate that font, go change it. So I did. And now this version here, much better in terms of margins and font. It's quite readable. I'm quite happy with it. So that's one of the things behind the scenes. I spend a lot of time formatting. And certainly with the children's book, I spent a lot more time formatting the book than I did actually writing the book. It doesn't take long to write a children's story. It's, as long as you keep your language simple and you've got a basic plot. I've got some feedback from a friend who said, oh, you need a bit of magic in there. So I put a bit of magic in there. So that's what I've got. So bear that in mind if you're an aspiring publisher, and why not? Publishing's great. Bear in mind you will spend a lot of time formatting and you've got to allocate a lot of time formatting. So that's the sort of stuff that happens behind the scenes. So thank you. And it's been a short episode this time around because, like I said, Arthur couldn't make it this time around. He will be back next week and he'll be back in the subsequent weeks. So he'll be back and I think it'll be a better format then. But thank you. And this was episode 17 of Whatever Happened to Baby Jet Lag.